Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about some characters in Exeter that I think would fit really well in Strive, both from the lens of like conceptually they're good mashes, but also I think a matter of they're just popular enough to be in, you know what I mean? Like some characters in Plus Star were not particularly popular, like Cliff. Sorry to all the Cliff players. No matter how fitting of a character Cliff is for Strive, which by the way, he is a great character for Strive, no matter what, it seems unlikely. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number one, Sin. Sin is one of the best examples. I'm kind of blocking it, but you can kind of see there's like a ham in the bottom right. That's his calorie meter. He actually has a mechanic not that unsimilar to Nago. So if you watch his calorie meter, this move specifically is one of the best examples of what made him strong. He was a mid-range character that was extremely stable. In fact, I think the only character that was like kind of close in terms of like how he zones or like controls space is Venom. And the reason for that is because he's got a great 6P and this move, Beak Driver. This is one of his best combo tools. It's one of his best starters. It's one of his best ways of controlling neutral. And not only that, in all of the Guilty Gears, he had something that is very uncommon, and you're about to see it. He could cancel it into a knockdown. That was essentially a move where you can mash buttons and use more calories for more damage. You can kind of see a lot of his moves are based around controlling mid-range. He also has that, which is Jump D into Super, which is a like mix-up tool. He has other instant overhead tools, but you can see he is very, very, very powerful. He does a lot more damage than you think he would. Now, we didn't even touch on what makes him truly obnoxious. So he had one of the best 6Ps in the game, this 6P right here, and he got a lot of damage off it, which again, like usually 6Ps in older Guilty Gears were not that stable. This is very comparable to like a Strive 6P in terms of how good it is, which is not common at all. In fact, in old Guilty Gears, usually air throwing was the most stable option because it was very easy to bypass some 6Ps with just how good air moves were, which shout out to Soul Jump Age. But he has some interesting mechanics that you may see are kind of similar to Nago. And one of the best ways you can see it is Hawkbaker. This move is a DP that he can cancel out of. So think about that. He can basically, imagine if Nago could do wake up DP and it was an actual DP. That's basically what this is. There were some weaknesses around it, and obviously if he had no calories, he would get punished extremely hard. Not as hard as Nago. He just gets kind of locked down for a little while and can't act or block. Does not lose any health. You can see a lot of really good things about this character. Outside of the fact that he's very popular, what makes him very good for Strive is a lot of his options are just good fits. Like, he's a great mid-range character, which is great for Strive, right? Usually mid-range characters that do a lot of damage fit really well into Strive, which, like, he is the mid-range character that does a lot of damage, maybe second to Johnny. In fact, a lot of Johnny players played him before Johnny was added. He's got a lot of safe options, but a lot of it is built around strike throw or basically getting, big pokes. So the thing about him, though, that's a little bit of a problem, again, you can't really see it because I'm blocking it, but his calorie meter is very similar to Nago with how Nago's cancels work, but he has way more windows for it. So what I mean by this is he's not exactly Sin is not exactly the same as Nago, because Nago's is a lot more abrupt and fast, you should say. You could view it like that. In terms of like delay and in terms of his blood meter, basically his blood meter is it's very fast. It's much shorter, but you could argue it's a lot more effective in terms of how many chances he gets and how much return he gets. Sin, you can see, has way more calories than Nago would have blood, basically. He gets a lot of special cancels, whereas Nago only gets 2 or 3 max, right? Depending on what he does. Or obviously he gets more depending on what he does. But you can see Sin has a huge window for it. However, his game plan is built upon it. If he has 0 calories, he is in trouble, Whereas obviously with Nago, it does not matter as much if you're, you know, anywhere but popping, pretty much. For example, you can see like he used quite a bit of calories, but it does not really matter. Whereas Nago would be kind of like, his game plan would shift. Really, it's like, Sin is like a more extended duration. He has a lot of moves that would fit in really well. One move he used right here, this move, would be extremely good in Strive. Bull Bash is the name of it. It's an overhead that is primarily built to actually catch people jumping. It's not actually to be used as a overhead. It's quite slow, but it controls a lot of space and he gets a shit ton of damage out of it. If you get counter hit by Bull Bash, you go next round. It's one of those things. Even if they did not, like even if they made it a mid, in Strive, if you air blocked Bull Bash, it'd be very, very strong. He would not even need to use Elk Hunt, which is his slide. He could just use this to start his pressure, which is his hop. He has a command hop. He has 2 versions of it. And again, he's also very good in the air. Of course, Alpha, a little bit better, probably. He's just like he's just a great stable character. In older Guilty Gear games, that is uncommon. He's got a lot of tools, like he specifically has a DP bait option. I don't know if he'll keep that, but he basically has a lot that can be quite good. I think a lot of his kit would port over very, very well, but they'd probably change a few things. And in fact, we're gonna get into that right here. If you look at his cons list, you may notice he has something that is very specific. It is his wake up timing. In fact, if you're unfamiliar, older Guilty Gear characters had different wake ups. And his was the slowest, and so as a result, some characters could do really fucked up Oki to him. And obviously that won't be a factor anymore, so I'm curious how they would do it. I think they would compensate for it, maybe make him less oppressive in mid-range to compensate for the fact that like knockdowns will not be as powerful on him. I know it's kind of weird to imagine that they balanced the character with knockdown timing, which that is how old Guilty Gear was. So, I mean, you can see he's got a lot of really good things going for him. You know, this is not a lie. In fact, he has a mix-up option that's very similar to Venom's, which is in Voltic Dane, which is a projectile that will force you to block, and he gets to go, he can do it rising overhead as jump H or jump E and get a combo from it. I don't know how effective this would be in Strive either, because the wall would probably prevent a lot of it, but probably would work similar to Gigantor if he did it. He also has his own RTL, but instead of being like a one hit, it's actually 3 individual hits that he can do the follow-up out of. He can do like 1, he can do 2, he can do 3. He basically gets to choose how many he does, up to 3, and he can also just run away with it if he wanted to, which is also very strong. So that's Sin, and to get into the next character, it's Slayer. In fact, one of the best examples of Slayer is also from this tournament, where we can see Daemendo show off why this character would be. In fact, this character was not just made for Strive. Strive was made for him. So basically how Slayer works is his mechanic is based around backdash canceling. You may notice he has a kind of unique dash or backdash. Let's see if we can find an instance where he uses it. Oh, right there. So you can see he does a backdash and he cancels it. In fact, he is the only character in the game that can do this. He can cancel his backdash into moves and carry over the invul from his backdash. This is not just like something you use in neutral. He can use it on wake up. As in, if he does backdash cancel bite, he carries enough invul frames for his bite, which is his command grab, to be fully invul, which means he has effectively a DP command grab. So what makes Slayer kind of unique in older Guilty Gears is Guilty Gear is a high damage game. I feel like you don't even need to say that, right? What makes him specifically very noteworthy is that he does a lot of damage in Exert. It's in 2 moves. One of them, the main ones, is that right there, Pile Bunker. It is a 4-frame move out of his dash, but it's Dandy Step, whereas he does that real back, and he has a bunch of follow-ups from it. I don't think he'll keep all his follow-ups if he's added to Strive, but Pile Bunker is definitely like his like what he's known for. If you get counter hit by a pile bunker, it's very likely you're probably going to get stunned off next hit. That is pile bunker right there. And if you get hit, you're fucked. Another thing that Slayer has that's very unique is he has very good air combos. In fact, he has very long ones. His weakness, though, is that off specific hits, he's quite weak. He can't always confirm into something noteworthy. Like that Mappa is his main approach tool. It is not that great. Oh, there's Bite. Shoutouts to Nago. Slayer's Bite, though I should compare the two. His does not actually drain any blood or give him anything like that, but it makes his next special move a guaranteed counter hit. So if he does Mappa while he's glowing, it will counter hit no matter what. He also, similarly to Sin, has an illegal 6P is how I would describe it. It is fucking broken. This shit, it goes down to his ankles. This shit is one of the nastiest anti-airs. It's not really an anti-air as much as it's a counter poke, but it can anti-air as well. If you get counter hit, you also die. Pretty much consider Slayer the character where if you get hit by him when he doesn't have meter or he doesn't have a counter hit, it's not as bad. But if you get counter hit by him, he fucking kills you. Like one combo and you're dead sort of thing. Guilty Gear has always been a high damage game, but like Slayer is like the high damage character in the high damage game. And by nature of his backdash cancels, again, you can kind of see him do it here, is he does a BDC jump, backdash cancel jump. This means his jump is invul. He can do this on wake up and be invul. Some characters can cover it. For like example, like Ky has enough active frames where if Slayer ever does like backdash cancel dandy step, it'll always get fucked by Ky's CD. But not really. It's like if you don't have very many options, then you're just RPSing with him. You know, rock, paper, scissors over and over, and you're guessing every time. Is he gonna backdash cancel? Is he gonna, you know, backdash cancel jump, bite, whatever, dandy step? He can also do it into super, and that is also very cursed. In general, I don't think Slayer would be ported as smoothly. I think he'd be much more simplified with like his dandy step, and I think how backdash cancels would work is I think it would be a special move rather than just him canceling his backdashes, because it is a little hard to consistently do backdash cancels. In fact, how you do it is you actually TK the input out of a backdash. So like as a result, if you wanted to do a backdash cancel move, you would have to do like, let's say Mappa, which is his lunging punch, 236p. You'd have to do, you know, 4-4, 2-3-6, like 9p in order to do it. Also, similarly to Strive, he does not have a standard Gatling system. How he works is he has close slash, far slash, and that's basically his main pressure tool. Close slash is, I think, minus, like it's minus something, but his far slash is about plus like 6 or something. Like it's very plus, which leads into close slash again because it lunges him forward. So it's very, very strong for his pressure, even though he's just doing, in general, he's a bit of an inconsistent character, but he'd fit in so well with the Strive cast. Because I mean, he hits you once, you get counter hit, you fucking die. I can't stress this enough. This move is fucking crazy. Also, it would look cool as fucking Strive. Like, look at this move. Look at it. Sorry, it kind of looks like I'm getting punched by him. It would be so great to see him in Strive. I think he'd be a great design character, but also just really interesting. And we didn't even talk about his like mix-up, which is the S follow-up, as you can see here. He has an overhead from this punch, as you can see at the top, S, under pressure. He can either go low, or he can do the follow-up. Its late is throw invul, as you can see, and it's also plus. So it's very, very good for starting his pressure, and if you get counter hit, you fucking die. He also has an unblockable. I don't know, it's not very good, but it does exist. Most people know him for this move, Dead on Time. This move goes pretty much full screen. If you get counter hit and he has meter, he's probably gonna kill you. In general, just does a shit ton of damage. This is basically the prototype Ram Super is how I would describe it. One last character that would fit in very well, and I think would be very popular, is Jam. Jam's thing is that she basically just has god normals. In fact, she's very comparable to Chip with a lot of her normals. By the end of Exerd, was the only character who had a 3-frame along with Chip. She's got very, very plus buttons. They're all very fast. Like we're talking like pretty much everything is like sub like 7 or 8 frames. It's very fast. She's very fast in general, and she has good mix-up tools. In fact, if you look in the bottom left, you can see she has an emblem above her meter. Regular special moves are not particularly strong for her, but if she charges them, as you can see, they become much, much better. And in fact, like in the case of what she just charged, which was Ryujin, you'll see when she does it, there, I mean, that was just pressure anyways, but pretty much it enables a shit ton of damage. She has it on 2 other moves, which is her Geki, which is an overhead. It becomes a very fast overhead, and her DP, which is that. Her DP is usually not that good either, but with the card, for example, card DP, impossible to like go under, whereas regular DP, you can low profile it. So you can see kind of how it works in that sort of way. Gekirin is kind of a it's kind of a slow overhead normally, but with with card, it is a very, very fast overhead, and it also gives combos, so it's very, very strong. Similarly, like what makes her very obnoxious is, outside of Puffball, is her air buttons. She has probably arguably the best air to ground buttons in the game. Again, very fast, great at air to airing, oh, that's Gekirin, by the way. Gekirin could also be used as an overhead. Again, remember what I had mentioned with Sin, where characters did not really have much stability in terms of getting, counter hit, or just counter hitting them, I should say, or working, period. It was really hard to consistently anti-air jam unless you were really, really good. There's Geki, as you can see, it was a very fast overhead. Gives a combo, and then for Oki, try to bait the DP actually. So usually they want to get card, and from there they just pretty much try to overwhelm you. Like they are 100%, if you are familiar with how Leo works, Jam is not that far off. In fact, most of the Jam players, I think, played Giovanna because she is kind of similar to how you want to rush down, although not entirely one-to-one. You can see, like, since she's so fast, her buttons are so fast, a lot of the time they just swing, right? Like, and we didn't even get into Puffball. She also has a dashing stance. I don't remember the name. It's something. But she can either go low, she can either slide through you, kind of think of like how Amelia's roll is, or she can do Puffball. Puffball is the big like key blast when she punches forward. It gives a lot of damage on, that is it. So that's H Puffball. She has 2. But H Puffball is very plus, and regular Puffball is a little plus. But again, since her buttons are so fast, it does not matter. Like, even if it was like 0, it wouldn't really matter, because her buttons are just that good. So again, that is punishable if blocked, but again, it's a very fast overhead. But again, you can see a lot of the time Trace is just like running into Hamad without like really like much concern, because that's just what Jam does. Like, in fact, like the way I would describe Jam is kind of like a mixture of like modern Leo and Giovanna. If you like fuse the two together, you'd probably get Jam. One thing she had that was very, very good was her super. Her super, this super in fact, is one of the best one of the best supers for killing off like someone at low health. You have to manually time it, which means you can mess it up, as you just saw, but it's very, very high damage if you end a combo with it, and usually it will kill. Like, it does a lot. Also, you can see what I mean by the air buttons. A lot of the time, like, Hamad is just getting, like, overwhelmed by, like, how Teresa is swinging, right? But you see what I mean. It's basically, she's very, very aggressive, and I think she'd fit very well. Even her mechanic, as is, would fit in extremely well in Strive. In fact, it would not be that dissimilar from something like how Testament works, where Testament's, you know, very strong with Stain, kind of weak without. And they'll probably make it so she's not as good without cards, but her getting card would probably be much, much better. So I expect like a very fast overhead that's probably advantageous. Expect her air buttons to be pretty similar. Again, she has extremely fast jab, extremely fast low, extremely good close slash, extremely good far slash, pretty okay 5H. It's not great, it's okay. Her 6P kind of sucks, I won't lie. But again, that would be a real problem in Strive at least. She has a 6K that's also kind of whack, but this one is the cursed one, 6H. You probably saw this a little bit. 6H, huge return. It goes over a lot of lows, and it's pretty fast for what it is, 14 frames. You can see by a lot of her frame data that you can see what I mean. She is fucking ham with how fast her moves are. Even in the air, like a lot of them are really good. She has a 5-frame jump H, or a 5-frame jump S, or a 5-frame jump K. Her jump P is the slowest move, which should tell you a lot. Oh, never mind, jump D is. Close enough. Now, she has one other thing that we didn't really see. She has a parry, but how her parry works is a 4-6, right? This used to be fucking broken in older games, and I really cannot stress this enough. It was brawling in older games, like super, super good, right? But in Xrd, it was not as good and not really as noteworthy. But there were some situations where she could get out for free, pretty much. If you did a low, she'll die, or if you throw her, she'll die. But mids and overheads would get parried, and so like sometimes it was even better to just 6P. If it whiffs, you parry after and hope it works. She has a follow-up from it where, you know, enables some combos, but that's really like the main thing. Her puffball is her most iconic move. It's very, very good. And then she also has Regen, which is also very iconic for her. There's not really a ton about her. She does have a kind of like utility super that covers wake ups. That's not very good. It's kind of a super puffball. Oh, it actually says super puffball here. It's not really super great in Xrd. It would probably be much better in Strive. By nature of how instant blocking works. Jam would fit in super, super well. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope this educated you a little bit about old characters who I think would fit in really well. You enjoyed this video, and as always, see you guys next time. Bye bye!